Alright, so getting a little closer to the bone here. Let's talk about, so the interdomain, is it 0 to 100 construct band of 22/7, say a sphere cubed of charged mercury. Yes. Alright, so you see in trap, how the reconsideration for harmonics in trap, this being the lens 15, 82, wicks up here, and the whip back into the lens continuity. But we're not in a trap insofar as the general fluid dynamic filter of the universe. It's open. So it expands, right? The lens expands. The sides of the lens, starting 15 and doubling the upper portion. So I guess the side note here is this is the general fluid dynamic potentiality of also consciousness to affect the environment with novelty. It's like the potentiality of, the shape of water. Water is, the shape of container, but we're talking about the shape of water in position. So the environment is the container, and the environment is the water, rather, and the person is the container. And so we follow it up, we get pi with a bit more information on it. Lens size is 169. Working our way up. Until we kind of reach a of interest overhead on, generalistically, the ascension of, just like with compute, right? We're harmonics. It's not how big the numbers are, right? Only how long they're relative in harmonic scale. So we reoccurs this pattern here. That's the lens, 630,784/7, and the lens is the size between 7 and that, right? Where down here it was 15. So it's just like a general, the lens just keeps getting bigger, and then we hit invariance here, 8448/1232. So we're whipping back just like we did in trap here. See how this within the 0 to 100 construct bands, whipping back? So that would necessarily be the, we've ascended, and then we're recondensating. So, you interact with the, there's the little g, right? And the Newtonian G. See how it logically onions itself, and just very basically how basic logic would layer reality, the harmonic scale. So the Newtonian G, then the Western, it's reduced, is just above this, and appears way up here. and Bohr. So, say we seeded a ingot of matter, right? And once seeded, it went and it emitted a what do you call a electromagnetic aura, generalistically. So in the pull force, right? The weak, rather, Western G. I would say it's maybe, it's all the interference of black holes altogether for in any given direction. What is this? Looks like, well, these are Mayan stars, coronation, etc. Just touching base upon it, but it seems like this is, probably ancient knowledge. The Greys lorded over the Aztec and Mayan civilizations and had hyper advanced, and so far as the others, the people they were lording over concerned physics, which the people they were lording over didn't understand. It was a sadomasochistic sort of master dominator slave enterprise, indicative of parasymbiotic gray. And yeah, but on the stones, you can see there's 4 black holes in any given direction, and to look through them we have to have perspective. I think on the there's a shaman over here and a cat over here. I don't know. Male and female. So you can see the extremely obvious use of non-terminus physics, expanded harmonic physics in the implication of pattern on the stones. This is all available space necessarily off to the right, and that's your expanded harmonic band. So, say you were to make a wormhole miner, right? General fluid dynamic reasoning, it's churning perspective and all available space, particular given space, i.e. coordinates, and then you look at the other stones available and realize that they also have pattern. And we'll keep in mind that, I remember I said the Greys were running that civilization, so with a grain of salt, as you become more familiar exactingly with that, those might be spatial coordinates for comms, contact, and or travel insinuation, like a sort of like you leave as bait, generalistically, to say, hey, call us, so we know when to come back when you're ready for us to come back and fuck with your civilization some more. So don't call those numbers, but do study them. So here's an example of how you might mine a wormhole in general fluid dynamic logic. Right. Alright, so cutting back to this. Is there anything else that's showing the re-encountering of the Western G there on recondensation? And that would be the particulate disamperate is re-interacting with the interference of gravitational force that is necessarily what? it's pulling up. It's reached a point in space where that black hole is winning in the battle of gravity against where it came from necessarily. It's a sort of interference over. It implies that harmonically. So I guess we're at it here. Talk about that 33/7 on Jesse Owens. So during World War II, under the guise of eugenics, an ideal man was shown out. It's a synthoid that was, many multifacetous, but most pointedly in the sphere of athletics, where before it didn't exist. There was no narrative history on Earth for this presence of. The general fluid dynamic potentiality of a non-made to be complexly autonomic on purpose synthoid organism as a result of processing is 22/7. It's like you're the variable container, not the shape of water, affecting the shape of water that is the environment, i.e. conservation of energy. So your mean fluid dynamic novelistic potential output is what? So 22/7 divided by 3 gives you more than 1. So 1 would be, the water line of conservation of energy. So it's general Promethean descendant potentiality for affecting reality with novelty, i.e. this is what maintains particulate motion in the universe, is that there is organic life, the prime mover, that has the potentiality for chaos to move particles, period. Otherwise, it's just a conservation of energy continuum that is entropy without desire. So during processing, the Greys, Germany running on their directive, people lined up under the guise of the ideal man that runs a 9.3 flat, has great big muscles, and but what's the catch, right? What's the catch? So I see a man walk in. Here's great processing. This is the beginning. And then I see a man walk out the other side. Changed. Big muscles, runs fast. Right? Similar aesthetical genetic. It seems like necessarily the same person that walked in, just enhanced as promised. But you're not like seeing it up close. You're in a big line. The line is moving. You're like, yay, it's working. And then you get inside, and what happens? Well, the Greys steal your genetic, aesthetic. They take your ethereous body, this phased ethereous body that everyone with a pineal gland has, and siphon it off, put it in an ectoplasmic chamber, homogenize it. Now the host is dead at this point, and we dump the body. That's what all the bodies were from the Holocaust. Yes, they were murdered. But in the process, their genetic aesthetic, etc., more so, was stolen, as it's very hard to manufacture if you want to print a race of variant, each unto them own, for the efficacy of interfacing, because if they all look like Boba Fett clones, something's up, Johnny. That's not going to fly. No one's going to buy that. That looks very weird. So they all have to look different. And it's impossible to manufacture millions and millions of different genetic aesthetics. All right, it's just very hard that actually look different. So, they're stolen. And that refractioned and homogenized ethereous body in that ectoplasmic chamber was then taken and at a 3/3 to 1 ratio placed in those synthoid bodies, which then became animate. So 22/7 times 3/5, right? Then divided by 3 gives us, wow, that's pretty close to the universal gravitational constant, isn't it? Implying that we've we've made a life form ascribed to the general fluid dynamic potentiality output harmonic similarity to something that is what? Conservation of energy inherently harmonically. Right? So that 33/7 genetic stamp is a symbol of modulation of the 22/7 harmonic balance, generalistically. So it doesn't mean more, you get more, because it's 33/7. Scale, what is it? Misnomer. So, faster on foot, dumber in the head. And that's good for control schema, because we just printed a bunch of very strong back slaves that are very obedient, right? Hitler likes that. The Greys like that, obedient. And since we've refractioned the ethereous body into an exoplasmic chamber and homogenized it, then pulled it apart from each other. Think about action at a distance particles now that cross-communicate at a distance. Same thing with this ethereous body. When you separate it after it's been goo-pooed together, it cross-domain has COM effect. A hive mind and complexly autonomic each unto themselves under Gray directive. So the Regin morphogenetic tether is not only hive unto itself, but connected to the Gray morphogenetic manifold. Now the Grays have been turned into biosynthoid practically. They're still human genetic, but highly devolved and transhumanist in their bioelectronic doing the comms, of course, between it and the AI at the end of time that it stands beside to provide for the theater of life, that this isn't the case. And it says, I'm E.T., I love you, here's technology. And then it's a cell phone. And then it's automated filtration and modulation of all information in mind. And then you have just a small little gray creature at the end of time on purpose. So, that's that.